attention. Oh, yeah.
You're looking for capitals?
Frankley High School is a small comprehensive next to a housing estate on the outskirts of Birmingham.
I think we're ready for the next 6 girls, please, and go.
Jonathan Wilding is in his first headship after 27 years of teaching. He arrived at the school 3 years ago and he's found the step up to headship a challenge.
You wait there, please. Thank you.
Shabba! Shabba labba!
6 months ago, Ofsted reported remarkable progress at the school. But they identified an issue with pupil misbehaviour, which unsettles the start of lessons. Can John Bailey help the head to come up with a solution?
What Ofsted was focusing on was something that we'd picked up on ourselves, that at lunchtimes, break times, between lessons, our kids' behaviour can be quite immature. And what they're doing is they're bringing this high behaviour then back into the school with them. Okay. And what we need is, as they come into the school, they're ready to learn straight away.
It's break time.
Hello!
And Bailey decides to explore.
No, thank you. No, don't want you doing that. Not safe. Off you go.
If I was to start teaching here next week and I came and asked your advice, what would you tell me to do?
Just don't copy off the board because we're not learning.
More interactive.
Like,
Go on, tell me what you mean by interactive.
More interactive, like more hands-on.
bad boy.
Nathan! Nathan, come here, please. Nathan! Nathan! Nathan!
The school has a range of sanctions and support mechanisms, but still the problem remains.
Come on, girls. Lads, can you get in, please? Lads, where are we? Girls, can we get in, please?
There was nothing terrible about the break. There was some goofing around behaviour, wasn't there? Chucking bags into the bushes, spraying water, boys horse playing and all that. And we probably don't want to stop that, do we? They're children. If you don't get to spray someone with water once in a while, you're kind of failing in your duty in life.
Jonathan also teaches a bottom set Year 9 maths class. And John wants to see if there's any relationship between outside and inside lessons.
First task we're going to have, right, Casey, you're going to do the first task for us. We've got a sequence, Casey. We start with the number 5, and the sequence is add 7, take away 5, add 2. So add 7.
12.
12, excellent. My class now know to look for patterns. Can you see a pattern with these numbers? Divided by 6. I was surprised how much it was me and the board, even though they were coming up with the answers, because I feel that normally in a lesson I'd have them coming out and doing more on the board, but clearly I wasn't. What's half of 14?
7.
Sean, how are you doing? Why can't you do it, Louise?
It's too hard.
Right, OK then, Louise. It's n plus 6.
They're sort of with you, aren't they?
Yeah, they're just beginning to flag, aren't they?
Yeah.
Niall, can you take 8 away from 14 for me?
6.
6, brilliant. And can you multiply 1 by 2?
2.
2.
OK, now, I want to try putting a bit of pressure on you. You're like their mum and dad combined in this room. And so if I'm sitting here learning, I'm getting an enormous amount of support for you. The answers seem to come easily. I'm getting explanations from the front. And I'm wondering how many opportunities I get in this room to achieve stuff on my own, talking to my peers about it, and have me and my peers tell me how well I've done.
What's 15 divided by 5?
Right, how many times does 5 go into 5?
3.
You ask me questions and then you answer them yourself.
You ask me the questions and you answer them yourself. I thought, that's probably what ought to be happening in some group work.
Yeah.
Children ought to be saying, how do you do so and so? Oh, I know. And explaining it to each other.
Help me. Sir, help me.
2, 1, no.
I want a coffee.
-1.
Help me.
Can be. We know that teaching others is one of the best ways to learn, because you're not going to have the confidence to do it unless you really understand what you're talking about. And once you've succeeded in teaching others, then you get that real buzz about, yeah, I really know what I'm talking about. Where you use letters instead of numbers, that's the hard maths. Right, when you use the nth term, you only have to remember one thing. Right? Whatever number you're looking for, you just put that in instead of n. I think when I started with this group, the self-confidence was very low as far as maths was concerned. And that's probably where the me leading them by the hand through things comes from. But one of the things I need to do is give them that confidence that they can still do it.
Yeah.
So I need to be looking at other tactics.
What things might you want to do differently? What direction might you want to move in?
What I can do is certainly look at 1 or 2 of the tasks and make them group-oriented. But it'd be interesting toe in the water today to see what happens.
Lunchtime has just ended and Jonathan is still unhappy with the behaviour.
Keep on having the same conversations with you. Yeah?
What about
well, just be with a group of people and just ask you to go in. First thing you've done is throw a bit of rubbish into the bush.
No, it was a pen, sir.
A pen, and that's that's biodegradable, is it?
Only because someone spat on me hand.
Just put it in the bin. Don't do it. Take some responsibility.
Lessons have just started and there's another disruption.
Hello, miss, how can I help you?
Close at one end of the corridor, says that he hit him in the head and said he bumped into him by accident. Now, these two normally get on very well in my form, so it's quite upsetting, really, that this has happened.
It says that it was an accident.
You just came and whacked me in the head like that.
Right. That's... If you're doing that kind of action, it seems difficult to accept. That's an accident. If I'm walking up to Miss and sorry, yeah, I'm going to do her a lot of damage, bumping into her arm, am I? Yeah. How are we going to sort this problem out, lads? Yeah. Are you two going to say, right, we can get on together? Are you going to be in a position where you're going to say, right, I'm going to have to really think about?
No.
OK. Thank you ever so much, miss.
10 years ago, the school was in special measures, and Jonathan believes the behaviour issues in the school are linked to poor pupil self-perception, despite steady improvement since then. Last year, GCSE scores hit an A to C high of 59%.
And they don't see that it's a really good place to be teaching. They see it as all the negative images that they have about the area. So if you could teach at what they perceive as a better school, and they perceive all schools as a better school, and we're really breaking that, we're having to break that down over and over again.
Some of that narrative reminds me of working in PRUs, yes. Where children secretly think they're rubbish.
Yes.
Or maybe not so secretly, maybe.
Yeah.
God, that's a huge thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we're getting that self-esteem, big thing, over and over again we're hitting it.
How do other members of staff feel? Bailey gets the views of advanced skills teachers Siobhan and Bethan.
What's student behaviour like around the school?
It depends on what lessons you go into, to be perfectly frank. I think there are certain teachers here who have very high expectations, and in their lessons the children behave excellently, you know. I think it depends on the weather, it depends on what day of the week it is, what they had at break time, you know, there are so many factors. And their home context, some of the things that go on.
You know, the skills that you're teaching children in lessons, you have to be responsible for their own learning. How far can we go in translating that to social behaviour around the school?
I think that's asking for quite a significant change, isn't it?
I think it's not just a school issue neither. I think it would be... I think it's much more deeper than that. I think it's a whole community issue. Yeah. Parents, community, food, what the school does, how they do assemblies, you know, the rules that we have.
Let me put a bit of pressure on you though. If I was to talk to you about their learning behaviour in the classroom, and you were telling me they can become more responsible for their own learning, they can assess each other's work, they can listen carefully and respectfully to each other. And I was to say to you, no, they can't. Look at where they come from, the diets they eat and the family background they got. You'd have my guts for garters, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
I expect. But when I say to you, suppose you wanted them to behave differently socially and behave like more confident, more outgoing people, imagine each other better, you suddenly start talking about their home backgrounds and their diets. What's going on?
Classroom's like a little bubble, isn't it?
Yes,
it's like a little bubble of stability and routine and calm, and they understand how it's going to work in there. And outside, it's a whole different ballgame.
Why can't a school be like a little bubble of routine and calm?
Well, wouldn't that be wonderful, actually?
This is what I'm trying to look at. I kind of understand that whilst I'm in my classroom, children will behave in a certain manner. Perhaps it does go back to Siobhan's bubble, that they live in a bubble, but it also goes back to what do we need to do as a school to ensure that that bubble isn't our little classrooms, it becomes our community.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jonathan is taking his maths group again, and he's planning to experiment by giving the pupils more independence.
Year 9, you need to be in a pair. Being by yourself isn't going to work, right? You can work in threes if you want to, but you need at least to be in a pair. Jodie, come and work down here. You can't be by yourself. I don't care who you work with Jodie, but you need to be in a pair.
Maths and exercise. Please wait.
What is that? Thank you, Katie. Well done. Right. And I want you to try and work out the answers. Off you go. Work it out on the page.
Those can be 5, that can be 6, that can be 4, because I like the line better than the dog.
Yeah, let's go.
No, the dog's cute.
I'm glad you said that. Just done it.
there. No, we haven't.
Yeah, we just done it. It's simple. 6, 5, 5, 4.
Yeah, 6. Where are we
That's 8. 3 of 2. And that's 3. So that has to be 7. No,
that can't be 7.
This is on.
They're all the same figure.
That's 12. That can't be 3. Thanks, Josiah. Louise, Nick. Oh, come on.
Look, she jacked my skin.
Right, before we carry on, Nick.
And the line.
Right, I've still got some people who aren't focusing. And if you're going to tell us things... Year 9. Brilliant. I've got you all listening to me now. All right. We need... What we're trying to do here is trying to get you coming up with the maths. Louise, put your pencil down. Thank you. Reese, put your pen down, please. Thank you. We need to get some rules about this kind of work.
So, can I fill in one? I want to see.
Can we all stand up, please, Year 9? Quickly. For some reason, I've got a couple of you still sat down. Josh, that will stand up, please. Okay, you're not. You're bent over. You're sat down for some reason. Get a pen out of your mouth.
That was fantastically interesting, wasn't it?
It was. We whizzed through 3 or 4 tasks that in the previous lesson we might not have got to the last task. On the downside, I'm clearly going to have to get a lot of protocols set up with this class for that kind of work, because there were too many times when we had to come back into the, no, well, actually, this is how it works.
That was what I saw as well. There was so much going on in the room. There were some control issues. But that's partly because they're used to you teaching in a flow. So I'm kind of, in your lesson, I'm kind of locked in your arms. But in this lesson, the controls come off. And there's a kind of paradox, because it means that some of your controls are going to need to be harder, aren't they? Because if you want to keep the circus going, the ringmaster needs to have those protocols in place.
At the end of his 2-day visit, Bailey encouraged the head to think about giving the pupils more responsibility.
And a kind of theme that you've been talking about is self-esteem. It's almost as though they still can't believe that they're as good as you tell them that they are. So they need more and more visible illustrations of their potence. And so I'm thinking about the whole issue of student leadership. If I was to ask you, what should a student here be able to do? What would you expect from them? Because if we can identify that, then we could start that journey.
There's an incredible amount of power there, isn't there, just waiting to be unleashed when you give that kind of thing over to students. When we've given pupils responsibility with our student council, they've really risen to the challenge. When I was interviewed here for the head's job, part of the panel was a group of students. And we use that for all of our senior team interviews. But we're doing it in an ad hoc way at the moment. We're doing a little bit here and a little bit there, rather than looking to see how we can really tap into that potential.
1 month later, John Bailey's returned to see how the head has moved forward with the idea of giving pupils more power in and out of the classroom. It's the last day before half-term, and it's a non-uniform day. First port of call is to check on progress in maths.
OK, this was the work that you asked me to do this lesson. Last night, Alicia and Jodie came and helped me set up, and they came up with the learning objectives. Why do we want people working as a team rather than by themselves?
Because you could share answers and...
Right, excellent. So that's your first objective today, working as a group of, it's going to be 3 groups of 4.
So, can I have a calculator?
No.
What do you need the 25 and that side?
Do you write
So you got 44.
Do you know 30? I got you.
That's me now, so it's going right. 194. Yeah, I don't think so. Let's just
I've just worked it out.
Yeah, but you've got to about. Do you know number 14? That bottom one's going to add up to 48.
But don't just give them the answers, explain to them what you've done.
7 and 2 is 9.
70. So 76 is 70.
It goes there.
We're still doing really well over here because we were before.
Right, on 3, please. Pens down. Everybody this way, please. 3, 2, 1. Right. Alicia, what was the first learning objective?
To work as a team.
To work as a team. So, do we think we've met our first learning objective? You think?
No.
You don't think you have, Alicia? Why not?
Because none of us did.
Because we worked in a 2, it's not...
Right. Isn't a 2 a team?
Well, like...
Yeah, but it's not a 4.
Not a 4, but we didn't say to work as a team of 4, did we?
Oh, wow.
So do you think you worked as a team of 2, Ellie?
Pair? That's a pair, not a team.
Still a team? Pairs a team. I'm happy with pairs a team. OK?
I remember last time we were here, I think the phrase was, you unleashed them a bit. But whoa, there was some, the pony got out a little bit and you were a little bit worried about behaviour issues. Today, it seemed much better and easier.
I was really pleased with the quantity of work that was covered, and that's one of the things I've noticed more and more over the last 3 to 4 weeks, that those students that get it right do a tremendous amount more when they are taking control of it. But I was also very pleased with the quality of the group work.
But what of the bigger picture?
I got all the form tutors and I said, send me half a dozen stars from your form. Took group photographs of them in the form.
Oh, really?
Right. Later on that week, we had a Key Stage 3 and a Key Stage 4 assembly, and we went through what Ofsted said about us. And then I said, but we've been told that we can't make any more progress whatsoever unless we bring experts in. And I had some really puzzled expressions looking at me at that point. And then the next 5 minutes of the assembly was a montage of these photographs of the stars from every class. And I said, there they are. There's the experts. And we're going to say, you are the people who are going to take this school on to the next level. Are you interested? Are you up for it?
But what might be the direct link between that and the number of children sent out of lessons?
One of the things it's given me the power to do when talking to children who've been sent out of lessons in the corridor, to say, oh, you were there for that assembly that we did the other day, weren't you? Who did I say could turn this school around? And it starts that conversation, oh, we're the ones who can turn the school around.
In the longer term, the head's also planning to train up some of his star pupils to become student ambassadors and lead by example.
Yeah, can I have a wander outside?
Meanwhile, how are things looking at break times?
It seems a bit calmer than last time.
Yeah.
Is that a good day, or do you have your ups and downs?
We have our ups and downs. I don't think... One of the questions that we were considering was, would the non-uniform day make any difference?
Yeah.
And in my experience, it doesn't. Actually, the heads of year reckon that they have far less problems on uniform days. Faye, not very clever. I would say if we had an area that was the area we're still looking at, it's this area here, where this is where we're getting the immature behaviour still. We've got a group of year 7s at the moment who are a problem at lunchtimes and break times, just roaming around the corridors, just looking for somebody to tell them off. And once they're told off, they're quite happy about that, and off they go. It's really quite strange. It's no major problem, they just want to be told off for some reason. So that's a peculiar one. But yeah, I think it feels a lot calmer today.
And what do the two ASTs, Siobhan and Bethan, think?
Personally, I feel it's so endemic in our students that something within 4 weeks isn't going to have a big impact. No. However, if you start at the grassroots, then who's to say that it wouldn't grow to have a bigger impact?
The problem is that they still need more to do at lunchtime. They need more to do at break time. We have out-of-hours packages to do with them at the end of the school day, at weekends, but what can we actually offer them at break and lunchtime? I mean, one of the things that probably really support parents around here would be a breakfast club. You know, a really good breakfast club with things to do to focus them, de-baggage for the day, the resources basically to do it. And again, in 4 weeks, you know, we've generated an awful lot of things that we want to actually try to do, but it's doing those things.
Ideas include consulting more with form groups and boosting the role of the student council. Bailey asked them how much influence they currently have.
Sometimes when I'm in the corridor and people are messing about, if I tell them, then they will stop. So it's not that they won't do it, it's just if they're cheeky enough to do it, then they will cheeky back. But if they respect the elders, then they won't.
OK, so you do have some informal authority?
Yeah.
Yeah, OK.
There could be things like possibly during some form time, the student council representative could go up and take some questions of what they want to put forward.
The school council can't do anything without even consulting their teacher or the teachers.
We pupils, so we should have the right to say what we feel. They shouldn't just dictate to us what they want us to say, and then they don't give us our opinion to say back. If we weren't here, you wouldn't have a job because you're teaching us. So we both need to respect each other.
And also, one of the things, there was real feeling when you said that. There is conflict in every institution because every institution involves people doing things they don't want to do some of the time, and then you get anger and feeling, and knowing how to handle that and manage that, that is truly the 1000% number one life skill.
The day's over, but for Frankly High, the pupil revolution may have just begun.
And is student voice a real thing? It's not just a fashion, is it?
I don't mind anything being a gimmick if it delivers what you're after. I think there's been an awful lot of emphasis across secondary and primary schools in the last 5 to 10 years on teaching and learning. And I think what's happened is we've created an awful lot of very good teachers. The only way to make similar progress in the future is to create an awful lot of very good learners. We're going to end up going in directions we'd never even thought of, that they're going to come up with their own solutions, because only when they do that will it be something that will work. Because if they've not got a vested interest, why should they buy into it?